Now, hello everybody, Trouble Spartan here, and I was looking through some of my old files, and I realized I have the files to RTI. Now, this isn't the most recent files, this is actually from a few weeks ago. Let me just try to get this set up also. This is actually not from a few weeks ago, that's dumb. This is actually from one of the testing editions, and I think like when it was being like when they kept on coming out with new editions, Leonard didn't bother encoding it, so like I have the files. Let me just see if this works full. Yeah, this works full. I have the files to the game now. So this is just a random map, and I am going to be going through this, like trying to explain all of the intricacies of this game, and basically try to help you guys understand why this was giving Leonard such a headache. So there's Act 3 territories here, but honestly, they don't really tell you too much of anything, so just quickly showing you that in case you're wondering about it and stuff. Like, there's this entire thing for setup and aux. Like, there's credits. Like, there's all of this stuff here that I can honestly spend forever on. Here's the dust flashback that everybody is going on about. Honestly, I haven't even watched this, so I'm not gonna look through that, because like I've heard about what is in there. They've actually released a save file on the forums where you can watch this scene. I guess I can technically watch it now. Like, it's all in here. Nenopod supposedly is supposed to have a flashback, but that doesn't have anything to it. Border with WinClan bot. Wait, is that a sub of that? No. Okay, that got me a little bit confused. So, like, roads here. There's the sneaky cat. In a second, I'll start getting into it. Right now, I'm in event, just because like there's really no reason to not be in event. We're gonna be going through a few of them. But if you're like wondering what these are like random scene setups and initializing events. Basically, they're invisible things that you never get to really touch or see, but they're there. Also, Kitsy's lair. Nobody's joined yet, so I can't really ask anybody if like you want to do stuff. So conclusion, final battle. Why is there events on these? Huh. So there's play here if war result is 60 or above. That's kind of interesting. Never thought that would be a thing. Is this a leftover debugger? No, that's the scene initializer. Like, you see here, this is like all of the stuff from the dialogue. But I was just looking through this one, and it's a pretty good example if I can find it again. Is it? No, just here. But like this event block, you don't really think of it as much, but this is basically what runs the scene. These don't really do anything in this scene just because this is a cutscene. This is basically when you're on the border right before the battle's gonna break out. So right here is called common events calculate final battle. So there's a whole lot of intricacies of programming in RPG Maker. One of them is doing all these common events and stuff. I'll go through the common events and stuff later because this is a bit wonky with how things work, and you can't even see this because this is so wonky about how things work. Let me do this and do that. Like, it's actually kind of hard to work with this and live stream at the same time because this live streamer has to have a window, and if a window's not out, it freaks out and then selects this. So I always need to like have the window open. So I have to like reset this up every single time I want to open a new window with this. Probably if I switch to another broadcaster it'll work better, but oh well. So there's a common event. We'll go over common events later. It's under the database. So this is just like the normal dialogue. N4 is the variable for Nettleclaw's name, because technically whatever Leonard can't know for certain, he has to put as a conditional. Right now this is a conditional for Nettleclaw's name because of the fact that Nettleclaw, he doesn't know whether or not Nettleclaw became a warrior for this scene. So he can only ever refer to Nettleclaw or Nettlepaw as its variable name, which in this case is /N4. Wait, is that N? Do you call this N? That would be funny. So this is just like basic dialogue. All of this, if you wanted to get it, you just do insert show text, and then you set all of this up, in case you're wondering. And I'm pretty sure that didn't catch. Yay. So it keeps on going down through all this. And then here's where it gets interesting. So this is a script he has that basically allows you to, in case you don't know, RPG Maker only allows you to have 4 options in the choose statement. That's why usually you'll see like a more section to choices, because defaultly RPG Maker does not allow you to actually have all of these like large selections. So he actually uses this script right here to like set up all of that. So basically, if you look down here, here's like the first 4 choices all the way down here. And my computer lagged. Huh. Okay. It's all, I guess it's all under the same choice, so I'm not quite sure why he used this. Let me actually look at it for a sec. No, that's not what I thought it was. I just said that because I saw that I've seen that script around. So just ignore what I said about that. But like, always, like whenever you say it, if you look through all the code, like it always will change your stats on what you say. Like, let's focus on the mission. It changes your prudence / recklessness stat. It's the same because it's basically contradictory traits. I'm not quite sure how Leonard uses that, but I would assume that the -2 makes it go negative, so that makes it go to prudent. No, that doesn't really make sense. So maybe negative goes to the first trait. You need to trust your clanmates. So yeah, negative makes it go to the first one, the positive makes it go to the second one. So when you say you need to trust your clanmates. First, it just changes your thing, because that would happen regardless. And then it has a condition statement that's this long. All of that as a response. Like, all of that's just if you have like not enough relationship. It goes through all of that. And then if you just decide to say that and you don't have that relationship, you just, Nettleclaw basically just says nobody asks for your opinion, and then it just skips all of that. So all of this gets skipped over. And there's actually something interesting that happens within this code. Wait, this is for Duskpaw? No, first it checks Nettlepaw's relationship, and then it checks Duskpaw's. There's a check within a check, and this gets complicated real fast. So it just waits a few frames, ... You're right, that's inconsiderate, I'm just worried. And then, you don't need to, okay, I'm the hero. Dealing with dangerous is an everyday mouse for me. And then it goes into another condition. It shows the choices. I know I spent a little while on this, and it turns out that in stories, heroes always die first. If you have the right things, this can actually turn into a great situation for you, just cutscene wise. If you're not going for war, the +10 to war result is not that good. But first you get the Duskpaw relationship check. So if it's greater than or equal to 6, then it runs this part. Wait, let's see. Does it not actually change the war result if you don't have that relationship? Else, let's just drop it. So it doesn't actually change the war result if you don't have that relationship. That's interesting. You're right. I am prepared to die for my clan, but I don't want to die just yet. That's what we're all here for. We trust each other, we cover each other, we fight, and we never leave another cat behind. And then the code does something I would consider interesting. So basically what's happening here is it's doing a bunch of checks to see if you've done certain things. Like post-heroic, you actually unlock a heroic here. This conversation actually unlocks a heroic. So this label, jump to label post-heroic, that basically means it jumps all of the code until the code has the label post-heroic, which would be all the way down here. It's hard to find it with this lagging a bit. Where's the post-heroic? No, that's too far. So it jumps to post-heroic, which would be a node I'm looking for. Here. Label post-heroic. So basically what the code does there is, it's if any of those say, whenever it says skip to label, it literally just skips the label and starts running the code here. So if you miss any of those, it just skips to here. Okay, I'll be careful, let's make it through. And then it jumps to another label, but we're getting ahead of ourselves if we start jumping to there also. But like, he has to not only manage all of these, but this is just for one scene. He has to like check all of these things. So if you affirm Duskpaw prophecy, I believe this is on. Yeah, if you affirm the prophecy, you don't get this. If Eaglekin is currently gone, or basically you didn't save Eaglekin in the last scene with Maple Frost, if that happened, you don't get it. If you let Night Kid die, you don't get it. Also, this would also mean if she's dead, I'd assume. Bachelor relationship, If it's less than a certain amount, you skip it. If you ran from rogues in the two-leg place, you skip it. If Duskpaw does not have hero resolve, even though it says if it is learned, this does not allow, RPG Maker actually doesn't allow you to say not inside a conditional branch. So what he did is have nothing for if it's true, and then if it's false, it does post heroic. And then kestrel relationship, if it's too small, it also skips. But if you manage to skip all of those roadblocks, you get there. You manage to actually get to the scene. So this is just him just saying ... waits a few seconds, and then it changes Duskpaw's skills to add no one will die today. So basically that's where the program adds his heroic in, and it starts the music. You're right, I'm a hero, but I'm not the only one. We all are. And then it keeps on going through here. And I've been focusing on myself too long, but all of the great deeds we've achieved, they were a team effort. And then here it does a switch or a check. So if you sent Nightkit to the abandoned two-leg place, so basically when they ran off, if they went to the two-leg place, he says, like, we saved Nightpaw and Eaglepaw from the rogues. But at the same time, if that wasn't the case, it just resorts to saying when we saved Eaglepaw from the rogues. Basically, he has to do all of these checks all of the time to just get these dialogues right. Because, like, if you did save Nightpaw from the rogues also, and then he just says, like, we saved Eaglepaw from the rogues, the player will be confused, and the other way around if he said, like we saved Nightpaw and Eaglepaw from the rogues, when in reality your run only saved Eaglepaw from the rogues and you got Nightpaw from somewhere else. And the reason why he doesn't need to check if you actually saved them is, as we pointed out earlier in the code, if like you didn't save them, it just skips this scene entirely. So Leonard already knows that you saved them at this point in the code, so that's why he's not checking that here. And one, which is your character's name, has shown great bravery there, but we won because we all showed up. And the great bravery obviously refers to not running away from the rogues. Again, because he already checked it, it doesn't need to make sure of that again. And then if Nowpaw is warriored, when we defeat the fox, because if you defeat the fox, Nowpaw becomes a warrior, or if she didn't become a warrior, that means you must have not defeated the fox, but rather you might have ran away from the fox, so that's why the dialogue changes to surviving the fox rather than defeating the fox there. Like, all of these are conditionals that it always needs to check, and it's just ridiculous. And if you think about it, the reason why there's so many checks here, and the reason why there can be like so many of these, is simply because how long the game's been and how much events have already happened. And when I say like Act 2 is gonna take a lot longer than Act 1, this is what I mean, because the number of these checks that he has to do and the number of dialogue changes that take part in it is just going to get out of hand super fast. And there's all of this. And I love how there's a reference of the quote, "No one will die today." Just because that was one of the quotes that I liked most in the demo. I actually named one of the episodes after that, my speed run through it. So after that, you actually earn EXP on all of the characters or the apprentices. I'm not actually sure what temp is. I'm sure it's just a temporary variable that I'll use soon and then overwrite. later. So jump to skip ROM. Again, these both have jump to skip ROM. That's basically so it skips through all of this, and then this else is if you failed to get the relationship on him, I believe. I believe that's our statement for this. Yep, that's our statement for this. So if you just not have that relationship, you just get, let's just drop it. It's like, that's why you don't see how much work gets put into this. Like, you can easily just have a variable off and skip like a major scene within the story. And then desk pause strong heal manage, that gets like a lot of changes. You get +2 to desk paw, but you get -1 to nether paw and all of this other stuff. Exactly, you don't need to worry about me. Also, if you want to just snipe these variable changes so you know what they are, you can easily just do that here. When say nothing, nothing happens. Congrats, you said nothing. And then this is if you don't have the relationship with Netherclaw way at the beginning of this. Like, if you don't have that relationship with Netherclaw, you don't get any of this, and you just get no one asked for your opinion. And then, yep, I'm not sure why he makes a random stalling loop in the middle of that. Is that like a is that made to freeze you? That actually might be made to freeze you. Like, if you're not in the right space, it just basically crashes. That's what I can get from that. You turn left, and here starts the music. Shao Clan cats are approaching, and then here's where all of this blows up once again. All of this is conditionals for what the... All of this is a conditional for world progression. This one for that. This one if it's less than 60. All of this happens if it's less than 60. And then less than or equal to 200. Greater than or equal to 200. That's actually a weird one. Oh, that's why. That's why it's so weird like that. I'll get to that. This is where we were. So quickly, it does check on Kestropah. If Kestropah is dead, Kestropah obviously can't talk, so these lines wouldn't make sense. But if Kestropah is alive, these two lines happen. If she's dead, these two lines happen. And keep in mind, like, probably all of these cats are going to have... Oh my gosh, that might have been what made... That might have actually been what made Leonard quit. He realized that once all of the... If he ever plans for the warrior names... Actually, no, that wouldn't be the case. In order for that to happen, he needed to already have one turned into a warrior. Yeah. Basically, right now he's able to use these names here because they don't change at this point in the story, and there's like... So that means they're like... Duskpaw is guaranteed to have the name Duskpaw. But like... Whenever there's a conditional promotion, there's gonna have to be a variable in the duration where they could still be an apprentice. It's the leader and the medicine cat. Does that mean that they come to negotiate? And then this is where they program Oakstar and Pepper Splash to come in. Basically, these are calling the two events which are underneath this in the scene. And then it sets Oakstar's moving. And then it's not a wait statement, so it runs the next command while it does this. and then it does pebble skip, which is a wait command. So basically this means that both of them are moving simultaneously rather than one at a time as they walk towards you. And then it fades out the music. We come in peace. Yes, we want to talk. Could you take us to Blair Star? Fade out scene, transfer player to this area, and then exit event processing. Exit event processing basically means that this whole script just stops going, which is important because of how Leonard decided to do this. Which basically how he decided to do this is he basically slapped all of the word progression here. It's actually in the main rather than all inside this conditional branch. So if he hadn't done this, then like after they come in to like start the war negotiations, if it hadn't had that script and he still did this down here, you would basically get attacked right away afterwards by these cats. All of these cats. At once. Yeah, that would be a big bug. So that's the reason why they needed that there. This looks like... Yeah, this is it. So basically, if you have word progression less than 60, it plays this. So essentially this is a less than 10, more than 10, less than 60, because up there it used if word progression was less than 10 for the piece ending. So it would have already done that and finished running before it checks this. But because you got down here, it checks this. Word result equals 50. Basically, I'm not quite sure why he does that, but probably it's just to make his life easier later on down the line. It sets up each cat that comes in. They move in. Interestingly, none of these have a wait, so... Oh, there's the wait. That's a weird way of doing it, but okay. Instead of having a cat on waits, he just decided to manually wait by counting out the frames in approximation. I believe it, by the way, I believe it works in 60 FPS. I'm not quite certain, but that's my guess, so that would be about 2 seconds. It may be 30, and in that case, it's instead like 4 seconds. There's the dialogue. You'll pay what you did for Spiral Shade. It sets all of your party members up for a battle. However, if Kestropaw's dead is on, it needs to make sure to remove Kestropaw. Else, it runs all of this stuff down here. So, if you don't have Kestropaw, this is all that happens. Someone needs to get help. You stay with me. I promised my mother I would take care of you. Wait, what? Oh, that's a call. For a second I thought that was saying that your character randomly started talking in here, but no, that's a reference to your main character's name within what Neoclaw is saying. The reason why this is an if-else statement is if you don't have Kestropawh in the party, then you no longer pass that max character count in the battle. Like this whole thing about sending off a cat, essentially it's the mechanical limitation of only having 4 party members allowed, so you have to send back 1. So if you have Kestropawh alive, that means you have 1 too many cats and you can choose which one you want to send back. If that's not the case, you just simply can't use Kestropawh, so you have the right number and you get your 4 party members. And then, like, it's funny because Leonard actually works with that. He actually, like, gives dialogue reasons to make you believe that for some reason you can only use 4. I would say the most prominent time this happens is when you're in the moon pool and it's just like, yeah, we can only have 4 party members doing this fight because, like, I was taught that the optimal number for fighting is 4, says Neoclaw. But like that's gotta be the awkwardest time. But like times like this, it's seamless, because if Kestropaw is dead, it just removes Kestropaw, and you know no better about like having to send a cat back for help. Like you don't even think about that. You just continue on to the fight. But if you do, you need a reason. You need to give the player a reason to like know why one of the cats in this previous few scenes that was here, why they're suddenly not with you, and this is the reason why they let you choose who you want to remove. But if you don't have Kestropaw, and like I actually don't find this line kind of interesting. That Neoclaw mentions that their mom made her protect you. That's a side note, but basically, yeah. This is like the seamlessness that Leonard works on, not only right now, but like throughout the game. He like makes it so if you need to do something because of mechanical limitations, like you can only have 4 party members, then that's it, you know. Then it basically works it into the narrative by saying like, for some reason, one cat needs to go. But if it doesn't, it just leaves you no better. Like it doesn't mention that you need to send the cat back, and because that was never mentioned, the player doesn't know any better, and they're just focused on the fight, which comes right next, I believe. So like that's just some of the intricacies that Leonard works with throughout this entire game. So this is the battle. What it says here is actually a little bit confusing first, but basically it fetches this battle, Shao Kahn Rebels, from the database, and it plays this, and then each one has a conditional for if, when, if escape, if lose. In some cases you can set so you like can't escape, but sticking to what it said in the tutorial about always being able to escape against cats because of the warrior code, it essentially has to let you escape in this battle, but escape results in loss for obvious reasons. And then also the fact that loss doesn't mean you died in that case also. So that's why it says if escape, jump to loss, and to label lost, and then it basically just puts you here. Basically, so he doesn't need to repeat all of this once again. So that's just like one of the many shortcuts he takes, just to like make it somewhat convenient to do all of this. If when you get a bonus to clan reputation, Neoclaw or Neopaw is all like, get away from here. And then if Kestropaw is in the party, Kestropaw throws her own line in there, but non-party, you still don't know any better. And then Clawthroat, it just says Finchstar face set because they share the same face set, at least in this version. So Clawthroat says retreat, and then here it goes to all of the retreats. So basically right now it's just doing the whole jump motion you know and love throughout this game, and then it resets their location, so basically they're still set on their avatar, and then they continue to walk away. And then actually they jump out of scene. They just jump out of scene, and then Waspwing, Foxclaw, and Robinfall all show up. So I got that wrong at first, sorry about that. We're here, time to stop the invasion. Thunderclan, counterattack, jump to label final. So jump to label final is somewhere down here. Label final. There's more coming. Blah blah blah. We're here, time to stop the invasion. Thunderclan, counterattack. So basically, that's actually funny. Basically, Leonard actually pulls a one of those ones where like your choice doesn't truly matter all that much. Like, you get this dialogue and you get that extra clan reputation, but either way, Foxclaw comes and says for a counterattack. And then this is where it skips to. I don't know. I honestly don't know why the final's not up here rather than why it's not up here rather than being down here. But oh well. Fade out scene. Transfer to Final Battle 1. That's a separate map which will continue the cutscene, as you know. However, that cutscene chooses to continue here because it does not actually exit this event. Instead, it keeps on going here. Fade in screen. What's going on? What are you three doing? So that happens, and then finally the branch ends. Fade out screen. No, that was a branch end for up there. I'm getting branch ending, exit, event processing all mixed up now. I'm sorry. So it waits and then it teleports you to the conclusion, seeing where there's its own script to do its stuff. So it just leaves you at it and then exits event processing. It goes down here. Fade out screen. And then this is basic. I believe this is right here. It basically runs if you have, let me just remember. So if you have not, if your war, basically if your war progression is 60 or over, it runs here instead. Switches to that map. There's so many of them. And then if you also have war progression up all the way, like greater than or equal to 120, so basically twice that amount. I think they've brought every cat they had with them. So that's an added on dialogue spot, but I don't think it actually plays too much. We will avenge Spiral Shade. Shadow Clan, attack! And then it sends all of these cats there. Fade out screen. And then it switches to another map, this time Final Battle 2. And it sets move. And then it just ends. There's no reason to exit event processing if you're at the end of the event. So it just lets off there. A couple of people poked in during this time, but nobody really talked. The comments are still empty. So I'm not quite sure where to go for here. And this is about what you'd expect it to be. Let's see what these black cats are. They're nothing. They're just shadows. They're literally called shadows. I see that someone else is viewing right now. Do you want me to look at something specifically, or should I just keep on going? Oh yeah, turns out one of the things you can do with Castropaw is annoy Moss Tail, and that's kind of a funny thing to look at. If not, we'll just continue here. This is the event processing. Yep, this is the event processing, so let me set this up. There we go. Like I said, it's a little bit wonky with how it works. So this is an entirely new scene. Escape switch on, power switch off. A bunch of switches go. Oh yeah, you still have all of your party members now because it actually didn't run the whole like Kestropos script that I went on to like for a while. Also, in case you're wondering what makes the script the scene manager, it's literally just because the triggers auto run. We need you to hold this fallback line. If spy expose is off, we'll need it fast. Shao Kahn is progressing so fast. It's like they knew our defense plans. So if you didn't expose the spy, which, in case you're wondering, is Spider Shade, that happens. Wait, not Spider Shade. Spider Shade's the dead cat. I'm forgetting right now. I think Slack Fur. I may be wrong there. And there's entirely other thing that can be skipped if like Kestropos is not dead. We need one for optimal. There's too many cats here. We need one for optimal patrol. You're staying here, narrator. Mother would kill me otherwise. So again, it's pulling the mother said thing. It's China and back. We're off to China. And it's this huge project called RTI that we're looking through. And this is basically all it is. Like, I'll send you, and then, as I said before, with the whole, like, how Leonard fluently makes you get rid of cats because of mechanic limitations of only having 4 party members. It fluently uses this, so you choose. Whereas if you don't have Kestropos, it runs down here. Remove Kestropos, and once again, you know no better about this whole thing. Because you don't have that extra party member, it doesn't bother with any of that, because honestly it doesn't need to do any of that, because it just wants you to have 4 characters so it can manage to make a fight out of it. So if you manage to do the trickster with the rogues, it actually jumps to its own label here. Conditional branch variable rogue clearing is less than 10. Label rogues. That's interesting. I don't actually know what rogue clearing, like why that's a number variable, but oh well. We're getting attacked from some rogues. We can't handle both of them and the Shao Kahn cats. We don't have any cats to spare. They're breaking into the thicket any time, and we have to be prepared. The Skyo can't fall or have clear access to our camp. Get back, Aunt Whisker. We will be slaughtered. Much of movement theirs. But in the end, it just goes to this either way. Regardless, that's just extra dialogue. All of this is just extra dialogue, and essentially, this plays no real effect. It's just like one of those Easter egg dialogues. We need to head back. Give me everything you've got. Waspwing will be nearby if you need warriors' help. So basically, if Nettlepaw is not a warrior, it recommends Waspwing, Nettlepaw's mentor, as like for warrior help. And once again, keep in mind that this is a test version, so this is pre-Act 1 release. So likely some of this is bound to be changed. Oh hey, Darren. I didn't know you made a piece for this. I didn't know you composed. But good job. Darren's in China. Confirmed. You're eating a root beer float? I don't know why. I don't know why it's like that. Wait, why are you eating a root beer float? Don't you drink it? Usually whenever I have root beer floats, I like to stir the ice cream into the root beer, so it has like that milkshakey feel to it instead. because just having it separate makes it like basically one of those boring desserts that just has normal stuff and the special stuff separated. I like it all mushed together. But that's just my own opinion on it. I like to drink root beers, not floats, not eat them. Unless you didn't mean it. It's more ice cream than floats. You mean more ice cream than root beer? Because the ice cream part is the float part. What? So moving on with this. It's ya. I want to fight ya, daughter of a clawmaster. No rest for the wicked. So if Duskpaw is in party, it changes depending on. So basically, you get dialogue change if Duskpaw is in party, if Kestrelpaw is in party. Kestrelpaw has a big one. If Badgerpaw is in party. So basically, no matter what, you're going in a single run, you're going to be missing out on one of these dialogues because you had to send back one of these cats already. Wait, what? Thrush Feather's a Clawmaster, and then if you have Badgerpaw, you get this bonus. No, it's blah. Nailclaw's father. Who is it again? Who is it again? Thrushfeather is not a Clawmaster. So basically here, if Badgerpaw is here, he gets all confused like Badgerpaw would. And then Kestrelpaw knows what things are because that's basically how their two personalities are. It must be... Who is that again? Thrushfeather is a Clawmaster. Thrushfeather is a Clawmaster. Sorry, Duskpaw. Thrushfeather is not a Clawmaster. So that's what you get if you have Duskpaw and Kestrelpaw in the party. Else to Duskpaw. So if I wanted to fight your daughter of a Clawmaster, Blink's Nailclaw's father is a Clawmaster. Who is it again? And it goes to conditional for Kestrelpaw, which if you got this dialogue means you must have not had. Here's a little logical puzzle. If you don't have Duskpaw, that means that this script runs. The reason why it doesn't need to check for Badgerpaw is Badgerpaw doesn't need to know that Badgerpaw is in there because it already knows Badgerpaw is in there. Because if you don't have Duskpaw, that means you must have sent them away, which means you must have Badgerpaw and Kestrelpaw in your party. And then it goes to a conditional branch for Kestrelpaw. So basically, regardless of whether this checked passed or not, it goes to here. And this, reading through it, really will get you a headache fast. So be prepared. I can tell it already. So, if you had Duskpaw here and Kestrelpaw, it'll go through the wait what Thrushfeather is a Clawmaster. Thrushfeather is not a Clawmaster. And it skips the else statement here because you had Duskpaw. It goes here. It says yes to this because you do have Kestrelpaw in the party because you got that line there. And then it continues now with, wait, you mean you don't know? And then if Badgerpaw's in the party, which means that with that loadout it wouldn't be the case, but if you had Kestrelpaw and Badgerpaw, that means this script will have run and then this will have run to there. Don't know what? Else Duskpaw. Know what? So they both don't know what's happening. That's the gist of that. Don't know what? Know what? So basically, if Badgerpaw is in the party, then it knows your entire composition. It knows that you have Kestrelpaw and Badgerpaw, because you wouldn't be able to get to this part if you didn't have both. And then if you don't have Badgerpaw, that tells Leonard that you don't have Badgerpaw, therefore you must have Duskpaw, so it just goes straight to a Duskpaw line of saying that. Branch ends, so that's the branch for this conditional. That's Rabbitclaw's. That Rabbitclaw is her father. Shock! She must be half-clan. And then it goes to another conditional branch between Duskpaw, so it knows whether you have Duskpaw or Badgerpaw. Wait, you mean you knew? Why didn't you tell us? Wait, you knew this all along? So there's like the two reactions again. Sorry, I just thought it was obvious and you all knew. Else, this else is... What's this else to? Else. So this else is if you don't have Kestrelpaw in the party. So if you were to have Duskpaw and Badgerpaw here, it would have gone from here with the start of this up until this else. It would have gotten here. It would have skipped this else because it already did this part. It would have went to this conditional branch. Check if Kestrelpaw is in the party, and because Kestrelpaw is not in the party, it skips all of that and instead goes to here. So now, because you explicitly said, like, Kestrelpaw is not in this party, now it knows that you currently have Duskpaw and Badgerpaw in this party, so it no longer needs to check either of those at the same time. If else conditional if Duskpaw is in the party. Okay, that conditional branch is not needed. That conditional branch is not needed at all. Because you don't have Kestrelpaw in the party, that means that you must have Duskpaw in the party. So this conditional branch is useless. Probably an oversight by Leonard, but you can't blame the guy. Like, he's working with all of his nonsense that I'm talking about how it skips certain lines and does all this crazy stuff, and he needs to make every single set of circumstances have it make sense. So I'm not gonna give him too much crap for having this conditional branch that doesn't need to be there. Is it Waspwing? So that's in reaction all the way up to... That's like all the way up to... Crush Feather's a Clawmaster? No. It must be Nailclaw's father. Who is that again? And then it skips all the way to here. Is it Waspwing? There's but one Clawmaster in the clan. I don't understand. Offspring of Rabbitclaw. And then that's basically how Dusk finds out that it's Rabbitclaw if Kestrelpaw wasn't here and didn't like say, "Oh hey, it was Rabbitclaw all along." Shocker Half-Blood. A million Half-Blood Shockers. Yep. And there it is. Nailclaw's half-clan? And then Nailclaw just promptly responds, "Maybe that's none of your business." And ends there. So now, at this point, once again, it has no clue who's in your party. Because if the reason why it does this with keep on going outside to be ran like this, and making it dumb to who you sent and who you didn't send, is basically because if he was gonna keep it inside, it's going to get so messy so quickly, and he's gonna have to repeat a ton of scripts. So even though this seems like it's a bad design, it's actually a good design. She's half-clan? Maybe that's none of your business. But, wait, that means Tempest Paw's your half-brother, Half-brother, he's my littermate. He was born in the same nursery as you were. Just blank face. Blank face. They're just staring at each other now. Ice talk. Yeah, I can finish it later. We've got a battle. And then this is a conditional branch if Naropa is warrior, because keep in mind she may be still an apprentice at this point. So Waspwing's here. You want to fight an apprentice, and then it skips to label Waspwing fight here. Warzo plus 10. Okay, I was just doing the math with how it was before. Waspwing waits. It basically shows a dance of Waspwing here, I think. You're such a big coward that it's pathetic. You can't protect her forever. Get away, Waspwing. This is my fight. Fight someone your own skill. Oh, by the way... Wait, what? This is interesting. So, it hasn't declared Waspwing any jumps to Waspwing fight. So that means somewhere down here it's actually gonna jump to Waspwing fights, which will jump you all the way back up here to this scene. But if Naropa was never warriored, it'll go straight to this scene. That's actually a bit interesting, in my opinion, at least. Fight someone your skill. Yeah, you're right. How we stand. You lead 7-5. Time to close the gap. I like how, like, Renaissance this fight is. Like, it's such a dignified fight. It's just like, how we stand. You lead. The score 7-5. So it's literally like they're fencing or something. Okay, Darren's just going crazy in the chat right now with a realization. We'll wait to see what it is. So it starts doing a few more animations. That's sad. Such a crutch of weak warriors. I don't let my eye deceive me in battles. We'll see. So basically, I think this is... Oh, Darren can barely talk at this point. Okay. So all of these is just like, haha, I'll shout tricks against a half-blind cat. Don't make me laugh. So basically, you know how Suitleg uses all of those shout tricks on you in the battle? This happens here, and Waspwing's easily able to defeat that. Waspwing creds that to only having one eye, so I'm not quite sure how that works out. This is a wait script plus a wait command. Just gonna quickly point that out. 'Twas the truth, I see. How could I have lost to you before? It doesn't matter. It ends now. Waspwing jumps, waits a second, and then Suitleg does a special slash happens on Suitleg. Oh, for a second I thought the chat moved. Even Evan to 6. Nothing even about it. Now go before I finish you off. I'll be back. Moves away. Jump to label post suit. Else, so that is all only if she never became a warrior. And keep in mind there's also that warrior, that label up there of, well, we may see later down in the line. So Nailclaw, I think this is mostly out of habit now, because past now, basically, Leonard could just go in here and me get this. Okay, let's cancel. Basically, this is actually interesting. So because we already did that check, that could just say Netherclaw there. Because we already know that at this point, Netherclaw is a warrior. Because we just did that check. Same thing goes for saying Netherpaw up here, if that's the case. One possible reason for that is, possible reason for the choice of still using that, not only because of habit, but if he ever wanted to change Netherclaw's name, like if he ever wanted to change Netherclaw's warrior name, he can just do that and he won't have to go through the scripts and keep on changing. Every time it says Netherclaw, he would have to change it to the new name. So that's one possibility as to why he still does that. Another one could be that it's actually shorter than saying the stash and 4. It's shorter to say that rather than Netherclaw. But let's revert that if I can. No, okay. I'll just hit cancel at the end. It'll be a pleasure to fight with you. If Duskpaw is in the party, keep in mind that at this point it's dumb as to who you have in your party once again. You should let her do it alone. It means so much to her. So, there's all of this. Oh, call Waspwing. That's where it's going to call the script above about Waspwing fighting. We should let her do it alone. It means so much to her. Else, so that means now it's smart and knows that you currently have Kestrelpaw and Badgerpaw with you. So Kestrelpaw speaks. And branch. So that's the end of this branch. So don't confuse that with that else. So this is all part of the same scene, and it gives you the options. We'll help you, let her do it alone, or call Waspwing. We'll help you. Netherpaw relationship goes up. You become more prudent rather than reckless. Even though the relationship goes up, she just is that cat and says, "Oh, I don't need your help. But I can't just let you all sit and watch." We cover our entire party, basically because of the mechanic of not being able to heal your character that often. I think like practically every single fight in this game, it recovers all of your party before. And there is your song again, Darren. I actually need a quick sip. But as you can see here, there's the battle and all of the scripts that follow it. Yeah, basically didn't talk all day. And sorry because now that I drink, I'm gonna have lip smacks and all of that. But basically I didn't talk all day and now I'm suddenly doing a long live stream where I'm constantly talking. It's not like my regular commentary where like every maybe 5 seconds or so I would say a sentence or two or something like that. I'm literally just always talking right now. So have you heard about a new game called Cat Terrorist that will come out? Yes, I did, except I basically have no online money at the moment, so I can't really buy it. And also, how does that relate to your 3DS? 3DS, may I ask? So, it does the battle with Suitleg, and then if win. So basically, if you win, and like that's something I never really got to do. Suitleg, war result goes up. Netherpaw's relationship goes up. Grand reputation goes up. Play victory. Control variables. Temp. Again, I'm pretty sure temp is just a temporary thing, and then it's regular experience. Regular experience on top of the Netherclaw experience. Oh! I know what temp is for. Temp it actually calls this variable an experience for apprentices. So basically, the common event doesn't know. Whenever your party gets EXP, it calls the common event EXP for apprentices, because it's easier than just doing like a if check of like if you leveled up and all this other craziness that you'd expect. So basically, instead, it just uses a temp variable and then calls this common event, which runs that all by itself through this one line, so it doesn't have to write it over and over again. "'Tis true, you're growing up so fast. One day you'll surpass me." He walks away. Label post suit. If escape, suit leg loss. Suit leg loss. If lose, suit leg loss. So basically, it's the same exact thing where if you escape, it just goes to the lose instead. World result minus 40. So basically, at this point, up to this point, world result was the determining factor of what the battle would be. And past like the battle scene that we started on, now world result is basically actually the result, not like what the world will be. No, they were separate variables, I believe. I think world result is its own, and it got initialized at first. She's so strong. So basically, if we lost, she's so strong, Nelclaw. If Kestrel is here, is this what fighting a Clawmaster feels like? Duskpaw, that's not a cat, that's a shadow monster. Tsk. Jump to label retreat. One reason why I think this is the case is because I think it's going to run the same exact script as if you choose to let her do it alone. Also, if you let her do it alone, a lot of things change. Nailclaw relationship goes up. Trusting suspicious, your trusting goes up. Temperate indulgence, your indulgence goes up. Prudent reckless, your recklessness goes up. Modest proud, your proudness goes up. World result goes to -7, -20, which is interestingly not as much as if you fought Netherland lost. So, suit, all of those change. Waspwing shows up for some reason. There's some script that I'm not quite sure. I'm pretty sure that's moving the event center, but I'm not certain. It does a regular thing where it moves. Something happens, and then Nailclaw cries out, "My eyes! Now you won't even see how fast I am." And there's this is probably the cat surrounding someone. I'm not quite sure. Maybe Waspwing is Nettleclaw in this instance. I'm not certain. But we'll see. You're fighting Shadows or Shadow Clan. I won't give you another chance. And then all the Shadows do crazy stuff as they fight. And keep in mind, he has to plan all of this out. Like, that's just crazy. Can't move under this barrage of blows. I give up. Script 3 times. Delta absolute value of X. Change event opacity. 9 plus X 0 45 false. So that must be a defined method, and it's calling it. 'Tis over. You're talented, but many moons ahead of you. Now forgive me, I've Blair Star to defeat. She was too fast, probably that typo got fixed, but I'm not certain. but there's a typo there. China Kit, China Kit, China Kit, China Kit, China Kit. China Kit may be there if depending on what you did. I'm no match for her, and my eyes bleeding. I can't fight anymore. Huh. I just quickly checked if she got a special face sprite for the bleeding eye. If anyone attacks, you'll have to fight without me. It removes nail paw from your party, and then it goes to post suit, which is down here. As I suspected, when called Wasp Wing, your relationship with Nailpaw goes down. You're now more suspicious. You're now more temperate. You're now more prudent. You're now more modest. What are you? This is Nailclaw. What are you doing? I'm the patrol leader here. And then it calls that Wasp Wing fight that we saw if they'd originally stayed. And it plays this music, which is post-suit, which is basically if you let suit get away, I believe, or maybe, let me see, back up here. So it's win or loss that goes to post-suit. Shadow Clan cats made it through, Nailclaw. They're mostly apprentices. We can do it. We can do it. So, if you chose to fight and then if you let her do it herself, she leaves the party. So you don't have her in this fight. So this is a 3-man fight. If you did that, and if not, it's a 4-man fight. Together we'll manage. Do not fear them. Cover our entire party. If war progression is high enough. Wait, let's look up here. Just so I get this variable thing straightened out. Yeah, there's war progression and war result. They're 2 separate variables. So if you have a certain one, it assigns 2 different things to the temporary variable. Battle processing variable 97. Huh. That's actually a very interesting way of doing this. So basically, if you have a high enough war, it'll do one thing, but if you don't, it will do another thing for the battle, and then it determines that basically by that, so it's able to copy it, basically. If win, war result plus 20, clan reputation plus 5. You did great, but we have to fall back. Don't worry, we'll finish our mission. If escape, red pelt loss. If loss, label, red pelt loss again. Control variables, changes variables, and then it goes to retreat, which is the same thing as up there with suit. So basically, I think this is basically fighting. So far you're just keep on fighting. This is actually funny how he did this. So basically now you're just keep on fighting, and if you defeat enough cats, you manage to get your war result up, and if you get your war result high enough, you can really take the clearing. I think that's how this actually works. And then that happens if you won. Call common events experience for apprentices with a temp variable. Yeah, that's definitely just a temporary variable that uses like all the time and resets. More Shadow Cranners incoming. So it's basically like a local variable if you're used to scripting. Initialize all of these characters into scene, move into scene, recover your entire party, because again, this is something that RTI basically has to do all the time, simply because like you aren't able to do anything inside of a fight. War progression, it changes the fight depending on how angered you got them. Actually, I think like 120 is the point of being weakened. So like if you got past 120, that means you must have taken actions to weaken their clan. And again, it uses that variable 97 temp. So 97 temp is definitely just a temporary variable that it uses time again and again. If when war result goes up again, clan reputation goes even more up, they run away. If escape, go to second loss. The reason why it goes to second loss is labels. There can only really... Labels are global for event pages. So if he had jumped to label loss, it would have went to this loss up here instead. But instead he had to rename it something else, so he renamed it to second loss. Basically saying you lost on the second wave, just like how before it said suit leg loss. Basically he needs to label the losses so bugs don't emerge. Clan reputation goes -2 if you lost. Else, Nailclaw cheers out, "We did it! We held the line!" Even though, technically, you could get here with Nailclaw not helping you. And the iClawed, which is interesting, but okay. Let's hope the rest of our clan did as well as we did. Again, temporary variable, and use that to give XP. I actually love his use of this temporary variable, because else his code would get so much worse. But this is what you should do. You should have a variable reserved just for temporary purposes. Jump to label end. Although I would like it to not be number 97. Oh wait, never mind, because this whole thing organizes each variable by terms of 20, pairs of 20, so it doesn't really matter. Did it as well. Jump to label end. So this doesn't run unless this doesn't run if you got all the way there. This is the retreat if like you lost the suit leg or something. We have to retreat. Let's hope the rest of the clan will manage. Jump to label end. No, this is label end. So basically this gets skipped over if you actually won it all. And then here's where it checks the war results. At least I think so. Again, I didn't really preview any of this. No, not really. Just does something if you somehow got a war result of under -1000. Which would be like impressive to get. So this is the worst ending. River Clan cats approaching from the lake. Everybody needs to come back. If we retreat before dealing with Shadow Clan, they will surround us. We have to stand and fight. It doesn't matter if we win if River Clan gets our camp. Thunder Clan retreat. Fade out. And then like if you branch end, so regardless of this happening, it still fades out and puts you into the conclusion. Transfer player 89 conclusion, which would be this map. This gathering map, which all of the conclusions happen at, regardless of like if you had the worst ending, if you had the best ending, if this was all just not a fight and the two cats coming for a compromise, all of that goes here. That's why RTI has a surprisingly small amount of maps compared to the 9 to 10 hours of gameplay that I usually come across when playing this. Also, there's been some debate recently in the Warriors Cat community well, the game community about like how to make stuff work in this. So I'm just gonna quickly show you guys something. We need a good event. Outside of camp should be good. Map variations for events. TC territory. Is this a subclass of here? No, no. Halfway TC mid border outside. Like literally outside top. So this is the gathering space for that bottom. And I'm not quite sure why this is in here. This really shouldn't be a subclass of outside Thunderclan camp, but that's just the case, so can't really do too much about that. But I just want to show you this because I know that there's been some debate on like, so basically someone made a game that's been a little, that the coding for it has been a little bit disputed, mostly because each like time it's something new. Why is this? What? There we go. I just got confused for a second. But there's been some debate basically about reusing stuff. I'm not quite, this isn't actually the best example. Let me find a better example. Oh, this is a fine example. And it's actually about using event pages. So in case you don't know what event pages are, basically this is event pages. All of the narration ones are only one event, simply because it only needs to act once because it's invisible, so it doesn't really matter. But as you go along, it kind of does. So like at first, no, regardless of what your variables are, if it doesn't fit any of the other ones here, it'll play this, which will be Firetail at the entrance of the camp. Have fun on the patrol, which is basically the first situation where you'd be able to talk with him. And main progression is basically just a variable for, as you would guess, main progression basically is a central variable for what part of the story you're in. And each time you're in a different section of the story, the cat guarding camp changes because basically it's like actual shifts, and so it can change daily. I don't think there's an actual day variable, like progression day variable, which would be interesting to see, but that's not the case. And it just goes through like each one of these. I may need to cut this short. But as it goes along, like these, what? Well, this is a little bit. This one's hidden from the game because this is 400 and this is 400, and it'll always go to the furthest one along with this. That's the basic one. So this one's invisible in the game, at least in this version. Let me mute for a second. And my space has been somewhat compromised, so you may be hearing people calling out and stuff from just outside my door for a bit. So yeah, this is basically a way to manage all of this stuff so you can use the same map continuously, so you don't completely clutter this section. And like if you have like one, probably what was the case is like they used like the top section for like what day it currently is. Hello, Charlotte. But yeah, that's basically the case of what happened there. I just accidentally did something. I don't know what I just did. Oh well, we're not going to be saving this at the end. This is the starting map. Oh yeah, in case you're interested. Actually, no. So this is like all of the dialogue for there, which you can't actually see if I'm correct. Yeah, you can't see because I didn't set that up. Anyways, I said that we're going to get to the database, so let's go ahead and go to the database. So let me get this up and working. There we go. So this is the database where all of the behind-the-scenes magic happens. So here's all of the actors. All characters that are inside your party need to be actors. So like here's Dewfrost, here's Kit. I'm not quite sure why Kit is the one along with the fox, but that's its own thing in its own kind. Enemies 1-4. Yeah, basically you can make, these are all of the characters you'll ever have in your party basically. Any other actor there is, you don't need here. Like if it's an enemy, they go here. Okay, I should be good now, hopefully. So this is all of the enemies. There's not like, I don't know what Starry Guard is, but doesn't really matter too much. There's some mystery enemies here, along with Kitsy, Dummy. Dummy, I think, is basically just a scrap name for the fight you do in the tutorial. Looks like a lot of enemies. Yeah, but keep in mind there's this whole void section. But yeah, it's a lot of custom enemies. Rat King. This is also where all of the variables and stuff are declared. Okay, I'm back. There was just a small interruption there. So here's like a good portion of basically everything that's in this game. Tutorial state, that's interesting. Huh. And there's all of this stuff down here, like unmissable, hit plus 100%, hit plus 100%. That's actually funny. Animations, I think he has some customs here. Probably, but they blend in with all of the defaults. Like, there are some defaults here, which he basically got rid of most of. There's items, skills, but one thing I referenced a lot is common classes. This is the XP for apprentices, where it plays the music. Each cat receives variable 97, which if you remember is the temporary variable that I always set before this. So it says that each cat receives that much XP. Blackpaw gets it, which is basically the variable for your own cat's name. Duskpaw gets it as long as Kestrelpaw is not dead. Kestrelpaw gets it. Nailpaw and Badgerpaw also get it. There's also this one for eating crow food. You aren't hungry. You don't feel too well. That's actually funny. So here's calculate final battle. This, as you can see, is interesting. So war results equals 0. So this is basically where it initializes this variable. Control branch, if war progression is greater than or equal to 20, it just starts with, it gives you minus 20 for that. If peace message passed, war result is minus 10. If mouse paw is told, which I'm pretty sure is like mouse paw is told that there was a fox attacking, because I know that was one way to get peace sending. It also ends with war results minus 20. More herbs, war result minus 20. If pyre is contaminated, pyre is minus 10. If Kestrelpaw is dead, then war result is minus 5. If you have Kestrelpaw's relationship under 0, so it's negative, it also gives minus 5 to war result. If Nightkid is dead, war result is minus 5. If Eagle Kit's gone, minus 5 again. If Spy is exposed, minus 10. If Badgerpaw heroic is less than 0, so you have not unlocked either of Badgerpaw's heroics. If Badgerpaw heroic is less, then if that's the case, if Badgerpaw heroic is less than 1,000, actually I'm guessing, my guess was apparently wrong, because that's not really possible. Minus 20 to that. Yeah, I like Warriors too, although I haven't been keeping up with the newer books. If rogue clearing is less than 10, minus 15 there. If Trickster Rogues is on, minus 15. Rogues misdirected, i.e. you sent them to Shadow Clan, plus 20. Reported hawks to doves, plus 20 to war result. Defeated Shadow Clan patrol, plus 20. Duskpaw relationship, minus 5. Basically checks off main relationships, and if you have them negative, then it negatively impacts war result. And if you manage to get war progression greater than or equal to 20, you get minus 10,000. Which in turn basically guarantees lists of things you have achieved. So this is basically all of the things that it says at the end of the game about you. So you need to have a +6 to befriend and -2 to have hate. But I'm sure that changes from cat to cat. Like, if our relationship is -1, it's not liking. You befriended Blackheart, or so you think. And if you got a negative relationship, you've turned Blackheart's joke threats into real ones. War results less than -50. You made Shadow Clan ally with River Clan. Basically, that's the result that results in the worst ending. Less than 10. You managed to orchestrate the peace between Shadow Clan and Thunder Clan. That's war progression instead of war result. If war result is greater than or equal to 60, you manage to recapture the clearing for Thunder Clan. If spy is exposed, you stop the Shadow Clan spy. If Night Kid is dead, if Eagle Kid's dead, if Kestrel is dead, if Nut Kid's dead, if Amber Flame's dead, well, all of those not dead. You didn't let anybody die, because Amber Flame can die in this game. Spoiler. No Paw Warriors, you defeat the Fox, because that's the trigger if you defeat the Fox, because if you never defeat the Fox, that results in not having that. If Heroic resolved, you made Duskpaw unlock his inner strength. No one will die today, which is the dialogue we looked at earlier. You reminded Duskpaw of the source of his strength. Heroic is equal to 1000. You made Badgerpaw conquer her fears. So basically, that's the thing where you give her that. If clan reputation is less than 5, you barely manage to become a warrior. Clan reputation is 20. You performed your duties with the utmost dedication. You're known for telling good stories, a good storyteller. If you defeat Suitleg, you managed to defeat Suitleg, Shadow Clan champion, showing yourself a potential claw master. If Medicine Cat is on, you became a Medicine Cat, else you became a warrior. That's why it's an if-else statement. Aid tutorial. Kestrel Skip has access to aid skills. Aid skills work just like clan moves, but with one important difference. They give you energy instead of taking it away. Most buffs granted by aid last only a single turn. That's funny. There's also this end of demo message. But basically, sometimes this is for ones that repeat a ton of times, like the XP for apprentices. Although sometimes I don't really understand why they're common events, like Exile. I guess it's basically because, like, you save on 3 and you can get exiled at multiple times. And this one makes sense, ordinary training, because quite a few times it just has you choose that. And then like skills, these are all the stuff. And if you look down here, these dash ones are just markers to like easily see them. So like there's more than enough. You can make more than enough moves than you possibly want. So that's basically what happens here. Dash, 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 dash. It's not a move, so don't even try. Villains, dash, dash, dash. And then this is just like generic stuff. More so like the villain that you fight that you story told about in Legends Come to Life. And then it categorizes Suitleg and his special moves, Maplefrost and Maplefrost's special moves, and all of those. But in general, like these dashes just categorize, like all of All of this underneath this dash is custom made. Before this, that's just like the defaults. And there's all of these items. Needleclaw, a bit stale prey. So that's basically freshly hunted prey. So those, I'd assume, are the ones that you pick up in the dream, if you choose to do so. Yeah, but basically here's where you set all of the enemies, and then here's all of the enemy encounters. Here is like the defaults, which glitch out because he got rid of them in there. You can do some battle events here if you want. Like, we can probably find one in the Fox, if we find the Fox battle. There's also a tiger fight. Here's the Fox fight. Fox. Like, when end of turn, it looks at all of this, and then if random is there, so basically it finds a random number less than 0.5, switch escape on, switch power switch off, turns power switch on. Fox looks weakened. That could be our chance. So basically it finds a random number, and if that Fox is under that number and HP, and it hasn't shown the message before, it does that message and unlocks the ability to go. When the Fox's health is 40% or below, Fox defeated. When turn number 0, this is the dialogue at the beginning of it, at the beginning of the battle. End of turn. I think this is a coded out. No. So basically, I'm not sure if you can see this, but basically it's saying when end of turn, turn number 3 plus 4 times X. So basically, at turn number 3 and every 4 turns afterwards, this is the Fox's next move. When end of turn and Fox Dusk Paw is 0% health or below, I'm not coming before you mange pelt, and then this is where all of the stuff happens about his heroic perk. And it calls common event heroic skills tutorial, because this would be your first heroic skill that you use. And hello, Arctic Divinity. So you changed your name here also. Have you gotten your parts done yet? Me and Arctic RP, and I am on him about doing his RP parts a lot, so that's why I'm saying that. For anybody that may be watching, that's outside of me and Tim. There's also this ditch read paw command, because realize that like multiple times in this, you can, during the battle, like the first River Clan cat that you go to gets read paw, so it would have to use this multiple times, so instead of it just makes it a common event. Also, let's check out Creek Skip, because aid skills, like who doesn't want to learn about those? So Creek Skip, class 21 supporter, so that's probably where we can see it. Nickname basically is just like what you see rather than seeing the actual class name. Hello, Dawn Pelt. We're just going through the database right now. So Creek Step has supporter as the class. So let's look at supporter to see if we can get the stuff. And there's a kit class, along with a lot of other ones. Paw Maiden is paws. Do you want to actually play with Paw for a bit also? You can probably do that. And then there's like all of this default stuff that he never got rid of, like Archer. I'm pretty sure he never uses that. Where's the supporter? Stay strong. Skilled warrior with focus on buffing single character. All of these, that's luck. Are all of these linear? Wait, what? I just saw one that wasn't so linear. Right there. No, it's just really weird of a scaling. Wait, what? Okay, that's... These stat curves are confusing. Okay, so at the beginning of the game, it's like luck doesn't change because you can't train to be more lucky. But if you look down here, it seems like eventually he just forgot about it and luck scales. So that's a thing. Probably that was never fixed because the cats with these classes don't actually level up and stuff. There's the notes, so it's quickly accessible. Maybe for balancing purposes, every static set bravery and MHP above average, slightly lower max HP. All techniques focus on dealing damage. Yeah, this is basically how he does like all that move stuff. It just gives all the basics ones you start out with, and then it just sets the rest at 99 because those are plot skills rather than actual skills that you're supposed to coup de grace. Number's 215. Let's look at this. It's just an interesting name, so I want to see it. Sneaky attack that hits up enemy's throat. Deadly against inexperienced opponents. Stuns enemies. As stayed powerful stun 100% of the time. Coup de grace. Limited uses 1, so this is probably... This is Kestropaw's move. Accuracy 110. Battle point. BP 4D+, threat 20. DP costly, 1 enemy. Clan moves only in battle. So this is physical. Variance of only 20. 40 times attackers attack divide max +1 level. So it scales with level oddly. That's odd. I would have thought it would have done more damage than that. Oh well. Wait. Opponent's defense -10. 1 plus opponent's defense is -10. And also minus attacker level, which is also divided by 2. So if you can get this, that's basically that's how it works. That's how it works. So do you know, I'll just use this. Do you know how anything divided by 0 is infinite? That's basically how this is working with the scaling. This is all part of one big fraction here. Wait, no. Because of this stupid +1. Wait, no. No, because that +1 isn't part of the fraction. This is what's underneath the fraction. So it takes... So never mind. At max, it does 40 times the user's attack. That's the max amount of attack the person can get, because at lowest beneath the fraction will be 1 because of the comma 1 and the dot max. So the dot max finds which one of these two numbers are bigger, 1 or whatever this equation turns out to be, which scales progressively downwards and makes you progressively powerful the less the defense is and the higher level you are. But ignore what I said about infinity, that doesn't count. All because of that max. Although I would love it to scale into infinity. That would be fun. He should just have it instead to be 0.001. Because arguably, I'm not actually sure about this, but maybe having infinite damage would break the game. I'm not actually sure though. I'd imagine it though. But that's basically that formula, which is interesting. Also, it's amazing how people balance games. I just find that kind of amazing, how people balance all of this stuff. Like, to take the educated guesses takes a lot of effort. I don't think I've actually gotten into a fight with Moon and Star before, which is interesting. Interesting, not so much that I would do it, but interesting that, like, in the audience choice stream, they didn't make me do that either. And then Tilesets is basically, in case you don't know, which ones you can walk over, which ones you can't. So 0 means you can walk over it, X means you can't. This one doesn't have a third option. Or is it another option for third? How do you get the third option? I know there's 3, let me look for one with 3. Or does this not have a third? I forget. This does not have a third. Okay. No, maybe here. Yeah, there's the third type, the stars. Huh. So this is just not compatible with star. But this is. So there's 3 types. 0 that you can walk right on top of. Star, which means you can walk on that space, but you walk behind the graphic. And X, which means you can't walk there. You can't touch this. We already went through that. Marked border message. Yeah, the reason why this is a common event is simply because if you look at the borders, specifically the Shaoran one, not halfway. Let's minimize this so it's easier to look at. Where's the actual Shaoran? So if I look at this, call event marked border message, which is funny because I kind of expected for Leonard to put it on both sides and also like have a check like, hey, even though you went against the advice and put it on the wrong side of the border once again, just like Badgerpaw. I sort of expected that, but I guess I didn't get that. Marshpaw. Yeah, basically how these work is it's weird. Okay, interestingly enough, they don't actually have a default one. But if nothing... Let's not drop the mic. If nothing is happening, basically, there's this custom move route, which is just custom move route as you'd expect, which you can't see because... Oh, wait, you can't even see this. Wait a sec. Was I showing you stuff from before that you can see? Sorry if I was. There we go. Hey, Snow Spirit. Welcome to the stream. I see that you are a friend. So, basically, let's just put this into this again, so consistency. So basically, this one just... The reason why there's no contents in this is all it's really doing is being there and doing the move routes here. Here it's just fixed, doing nothing because another event's handling everything. And then there's just nothing there, simply because nothing. But either way, this is where they are first, because there could be an event page before this that just has which is just a default, but this chooses not to instead, and instead opts to do 192 or above. So basically this doesn't even happen until you get 192, and then you get 193, which probably is post battle, and then once you hit 200, the character disappears. But that's basically how events like that work, and then this is just an herb find thing, yep. Which is Yellow Flower 1, which is interesting. You guys want me to look like at anything specific? Dance like a cat. Yeah, but like, tell me if you want me to do anything specific for this. Also, this is just like the package, in case you're wondering. Like the main, this is the projects, and then these are a bunch of maps which can be put into maps, Like, we can look through the flashback information if you want. Although I'd prefer not to, because I'd prefer to play the flashbacks first before actually doing them, which we can do that right now if you want. If you want me to play these flashbacks. Could you check how the warrior/medicine cat name is chosen? Okay. That would probably be at the conclusion. Receiving warrior name. This ought to be it. Let me find. This is probably the event handler. Yep. So it's probably dug in here, but let me just quickly look through this because it's more likely for it to not be. I'm just looking for the common event because I'm sure there's a common event here. After feather credits. Wait, is this? Wait, past there is not that scene. Let me look. Wait, promise uphold. Okay, it's actually surprisingly buried in here, so let me put this up. Yeah, I was just making sure that it's actually here rather than somewhere else. This is interesting how it has this conditional turned on, which is basically useless. You probably just checked this and then realized, oh wait, this is an event handler in the special map, this is useless to use. But you just decide like, nah. So, if war results, depending on how the result of the war was, it plays different music. It changes nickname, Duskpaw Warrior. Actor nickname. So you know how we saw all of the actors and their names. Now it changes their name to be set to warrior, like their classes. Change name and change nicknames. If Kesselpaw is not dead, they get their stuff. For some reason they separated this and this. I don't really know why. And Tempest Paw also becomes Tempest Cloud. There's a random part of the code. Jump to label congratulations if switch. So if the player is a medicine cat, it just goes there. Goes to congratulations, which is probably later on, which goes to the other scene. It jumps there, therefore it doesn't get to make Blackpaw a warrior. Reminder that Blackpaw is the variable used as the main character. Fade screen took over it. Trained in the noble words of codes. Player, do you uphold it? I do. And by the power of StarClan, I give you your warrior name. And then I think this is where all of the magic happens. This one line in here. So let me get this up. Actually, I'll just add. Now make it simpler. So this is what's currently on the screen right now for the script. Traits equals naming dot highest traits. So this is probably an index that, this is probably a method that gives you the highest traits, probably like the first 3 or 2 or something. Game variables 85 black if. Game variables 85 check if equal to 0. Traits 1. Traits 0, traits 1. Okay, so this is really weird. Just take it as that if game variable is equal to 1, then it does this line. If not, it does this line. So game variable is 20. If not, it does game variables 101 traits 1. I don't really know the syntax to whatever programming language this is, so it's kind of hard for me to read. Game actors array 1, item 1, dot name equals game variables 85, hashtag naming suffix. Okay, 85. Now let's move that back. So it sets 85 to black. So basically stores. I'm confused how this works now because it defaults black rather than taking your current name. This is strange. Huh. Perhaps that's the syntax. So if it's black, if it's currently equal to 0, then it defaults black. Game variables 97 equals traits 0. So like if your name is null, then it just defaults to black. Game variables 97 set equal to the first number in traits, and then traits 2. So traits is an array. Traits right here is an array, which is set to naming dot highest traits. It only bothers with the first two traits that you get, and it sets it to game variables 97 and game variables 101. And then it takes game actors 1.name, so it accesses the main character's name, is set equal to hashtag, I don't really know what the hashtag is, variables 85, so it sets it to the original part of the name, and it attaches it to naming.suffix. Where does it set naming.suffix though? Naming.suffix. This right here is the mystery. What is naming.suffix? So it calls naming up here also, naming.highest traits, naming.suffix. I'm not quite actually sure, but let's check what 97, 101, and 85 are. That may give us a hint. Oops, I didn't mean to close database. Actually, we weren't even in database, were we? So let me get this set up again. Database, and turn this off. Actually, I did that the wrong way. Oh well. Let's get this up. 85 were the other ones. Dang it. At least I remember one variable 85. Variables. Where are the variables? I'm blanking. Where are the variables kept? Actually, I don't think they're kept here. No, just give me a second to chase this down, please. I just need to quickly do this. I don't want to do this and then find out I'm being stupid. And just have it all set up for everybody to see how stupid I am. Where are the variable section? Control variables. Okay, this works. So I just broke stuff. Let's do screen capture. So this is what I'm looking at right now. 85. 85 is warrior prefix. So that's what I thought it was with showing it is that. I remember it was some 9. Somewhere in the 9s and someone. What? Let me go back in the stream a bit. So it's 97 and 101. 101, dialogue array. 97. 97's a temp. Wait, was 97 always temp? No, there's a ton of temps. What? I don't know why you would ever need 13 temps at the same time, but oh well. So 97 is temp. 97 is temp. 85. 101. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, variable 585 is referenced later. Yes, I know you can't see anything at the moment. Or at least you probably can't see. Can you see? Oh, you can see. That's actually great. I'll just expand this so you can see it even better because back there it's not the focus. There we go. So as you see there, here it actually uses 85 pa here because that's where it temporarily stores it. Yeah, if it's equal to null, it just sets it to 85. 0 being the default value because it's the default of a small. It actually shows in a small window. That may be a delayed thing, but it looks fine now. Traits 1, traits 0. Naming dot highest traits. What is the naming? I need to know what naming is. We're this close. This close. It doesn't seem to access anything specifically though, which confuses me because it uses these two things likely, but it doesn't access them. So that makes me confused. Why is that there if it doesn't if it wouldn't access them? They have to access them somehow. How is it accessing them? We will solve this somehow. Naming dot highest links. I have no the only problem is I have no clue where to look for this. Because I know that it gets set to the n index is 1, which is this, which gets set to this. It gets set to the prefix plus naming dot suffix. But we need to know what naming dot suffix is. What is naming dot suffix? Oh, it just fetches these as the two traits that get honored. Naming dot highest traits. So naming stores your highest traits. Where are the traits stored? If I find where the traits are stored, I may be able to work back to naming. I'll bring this up so you can actually see what I'm doing at the moment. That failed. Okay, let's just get rid of that nonsense now. So I'm just looking through here. Let me rewind the stream so I can see what I'm looking for. Oh, I didn't even say hi to I'm Patch. Sorry about that. So I am looking for where naming dot highest ranks could be. Naming dot highest ranks. There's warrior's prefix, but we don't really need that. Where could it be? I'm just looking backwards so I don't have to deal with that data list explanation thingy. It's not there. What's a batch? Oh. Does this give me anything useful? No, I guess we can look through switch. Using a switch wouldn't make sense though. Let me just see if there's any apparent ones, like if it just has a list of random prefixes. No. We're gonna have to hunt this down throughout this entire... It's probably in setup. Setup's probably the answer. Let me look. I'm just glancing through these real quick, so that's why I'm not bothering to set anything up for you guys to see. No. Call common events credits. No, we don't need that either. Okay, that gave us nothing. Okay, so this is a grand puzzle. Maybe this may be where it is. Okay, I'll get this up. It may be in the character creation screen where it sets up this stuff. Also, I love all of the work he bothered doing to try to find the day of the year and stuff. If it's a Monday, you feel full of energy. Like all this ridiculous randomness that it does just to set all this up. I need to look for scripts. That's not anything important. Sometimes I don't understand why he... Oh, you can't... You probably have to use scripts to set variables to... Yeah, you would have to use scripts to set variables to words and characters. That makes sense. Okay. I thought it would be here. It's gotta be somewhere where it can easily be remembered. I don't think it will have buried it away somewhere. Self switch A is on. I don't even know why you would need that. Okay, anything? I don't think there would be anything here. This is working, right? Let me check this is working. Yeah, this is working. Where? Can't be in one of the tutorial stuffs. For our map, And this is all the titles. I don't know where I would find it. That's under, look under script. Oh, that... I'm an idiot. So let's look through here. Rights, windows, scenes, maybe materials. It would have to be at the top, right? What class am I looking for? I'm looking for naming. I'm looking for one called naming. This is probably the script that makes everybody credit Yanfly for scripts. Who's the author of this? VM of DT. Journal. Ah, it's a modern algebra. Modern algebra made that. That's actually funny because I always credit modern algebra when reading the credits because that's just such a fun name. And custom face. Too bad there's no like control F setting in here. Because it can literally be hidden somewhere in here. Let's just look through all of the quotes. It would have to be assigned as a string. A. Okay. This is all Leonard's code, by the way. You can easily tell which one's his is by, like, it's not completely swarmed at the top. Skill formulas. Nope. Nothing too special there. Field of view. Simple field of view algorithm. Huh. Leonard actually said that this is custom coded by him, which seems reasonably true because there's no comments down here. Naming calculations. Here we go. This is it. This is what we're looking for. This is the birds and the bees. We found the script that gives us our names. Right here. Oh my gosh. We did it! So let's look through this. Initialize, simple. Add weight, name weight. Results, it just gives output to sample. Delete certain thing from here for testing. Okay, that's just nothing we really need to know. Why is there two classes? Oh well, module naming. This is what it was referring to this entire time. Let's go back. I need to find the class within the module we need. Naming.suffix. This is highest trait. Dummy function complete later. Yeah, that's what people were talking about. By getting a custom star name, you get star name automatically. Generic functions. Dot sample, what? Random suffix. Random list, and then it's all of the suffixes. Result equals weighted array dot new. Random list. Okay, we need to come back here. Weighted array dot new. Oh, it just initializes an object of that probably. So result is a weighted array. Random list dot each adds for each name absolute value of x. Result add x comma 1. It's difficult trying to understand what this is when I don't know the syntax. Also, why isn't that indented? That annoys me. Oh wait, there isn't. That's such dumb spacing. This entire thing has such dumb spacing. So, for each result.add x comma 1, return result. Add x. That's weird. Let's skip that for now because I'm not sure how much importance that would make. Random suffix dot sample. I don't know what dot sample would do with a array list. Again, one of the limitations of not knowing the language this is actually coded in. Like, I can easily tell that like define just means this is a method. Self.random trait, x equals true, x equals false, if random 2 is equal to 0. Return trait from number, random 12, comma x. I don't like how if statements are at the second part of the line. I know it makes more reading sense, but makes no sense in terms of like knowledge of computers, like knowing how to program this. This just looks horrid to me. Random of 2 is like I think the parentheses is just a different type of array thing. Random, no, I'm stupid. That's generating a random equal up to 2, which maybe generates equal number. So it's either x is a boolean, it's true and false at random, depending. Return trait from number, random 12, so 1 out of 12, and then it gets 2. And then it also takes argument of boolean, which can be true or false by random. Here go all the events that make certain suffixes more likely. Define self.events suffixes array. So input array, list equals array. List adds if. All of this is add if statements. But what the heck is this if statement saying? If game switches 7. Oh. Okay. This is going to be a complete pain to do, but I think I understand what this is saying. Okay, I'm actually going to have to open a separate window of this, just because I don't... If I even can, that is. So allow me to open another window of this project, just so I don't have to, so I can find this stuff and you guys can follow it along with me. Let me just quickly check. Yeah, that's not showing. Here, there. Now let's check this. I'm going to temporarily turn this off in case this ends up accidentally showing anything. And let's hope this doesn't accidentally crash us by trying to open the same file twice. No, okay. This is just going to have to be a tiny bit more confusing for you guys. So, I'm going to go live now. Put this at live, pause again. And we need to find out what all of these switches are. Okay, so this is how it's working right now. This, what the heck? Let me just quickly glance back at the variables because this is craziness. I don't think I'll be able to find the variables. There we go. Okay, so variables 189 to 200 are all traits. So all of these are determined in part by traits, except for 57, which is an oddball. Okay, these correlate. These correlate, which is important. So add strike 5 times. I don't know what the second part is. List. Okay, so event suffixes array. List is an array. Add. So we need to look at the .add function. Data.push name. That's not a 2arg thing. I don't. One is one, one's the value. That's like the only thing that makes sense right now because that's how arrays would work. Self.event suffixes array. List equals array. And then it adds on list, and then it will return list, which is array plus whatever you give it. So first so here's how it's working. First so inside of the actual command in there, it gave you this. It gave you the first part of the name, and it set up the second part of the name, in which it can give any of these. But how does it decide on just one? I need to go back in time to actually see this. So it just calls naming dot suffix. Naming and a simple dot suffix. Naming suffix. So this is what it runs. List equals. Okay, this is where it actually works. Down there is the index, which I was looking at. Okay, this is where it actually is. This is confusing, but I think I'm finally getting it. So list equals generic suffixes. Generic suffixes would be this command down here, which gathers all of them, initiates a weighted array, and returns result. I'm not quite sure what result would be. List equals vent suffixes, which is this huge thing, with the argument of list, this list right here. And it reinserts it to the list, which I don't think is good style, but I don't really know this coding language, so I don't really have the right to say it. Game variables 85 dot down case list dot result return random suffix. This is commented out because that was probably just a test if it works, and then in turn it did work. So basically this and that could be commented out. List.result. List is currently a array, I would assume. Returns list there. List is array. Array is arguments, and the argument is list. Yeah, he did this wonky, but let's just work with it. Trait from number. So this determines all of the traits. Trait from number. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that just labels each one of the traits. Okay, that's the weirdest version of else if shortcut I've seen in a language. I've seen else if, I've seen elif, but else if. That just looks weird. A personality traits of Snowpaw. So this just calculates which one's the highest. I don't know why I'm getting off track here. List.result. What would be a dot result of an array? And it doesn't return anything. Result data.sample. That's right, because it initialized. So it's still this object? Oh! List is that object. That makes so much more sense now. Okay. That's how this part makes sense. So when it says add down there, list.add, it's doing this. Name, wait dot times, data push name. So basically, I don't understand what this says necessarily, but what I do know is that weight generally means how much use that thing is. So you have a 5 weight of getting hurt no matter what. If game switch 7 is on, which I'm not sure what game switch 7 does, you have the potential of light, which gets a weight of 30. If you have game switch 73, again, I don't know what that is, you can get berry, stem, or leaf all at the weight of 50. Game switch 90, you can get claw or fang at 75. If game variable 191 is positive, which is basically what greater than 0 means, you get 5 times how big that variable is, which, reminder, this is a trait. This is one of your traits. You can get bird, flight, wing if it's less than 0, which in turn it does the same exact thing. The minus sign just turns it into a positive because you can't really have a negative weight. That wouldn't make too much sense. And then if 90 is greater than or equal to 0, you also get the ability to get flower at 30. And then 95. Let me try to seek out the variable list again. Okay, if you have 95, which would be merciful or cruel, 95, if it's less than 0, which represents the latter part, which would be cruel. So if you're considered cruel, you get flight. Isn't the... No, the minus is the prior part. Minus is the prior part. So if you're merciful, you can get wing. No. Yes. I'm confused. Why is this 90 stuck in the middle of the 195 section? Okay, let's start from the top. 191. That is forgiving or vengeful. So if you're considered vengeful, you can get strike, claw, or fang. If you 95 is merciful or cruel, less than would be the first one. So if you're merciful, you get bird, fright, or wing, which is how merciful you're considered times 5, basically. The negative, again, just makes it positive, so you can have a positive weight. And also, you get the same thing with heart. Flowers stuck in the middle here with 190, which is energetic or lazy. So if you're in the middle of that, or you're considered less than, which would be energetic. So if you're considered energetic or just in the middle, you get flower, which gets weight of 30. Oh, the reason why 95 might be separated is it gets 10 as a parameter rather than 5. Why exactly he starts putting the parentheses for these two lines, I can't be sure. And you can also get heart. Heart is repeated. There's probably others repeated. Yeah, heart is a default. Heart gets repeated twice down here. Whether that's purposeful or not, I'm not quite sure. 20, which is valorous or cowardly. Oh, so it uses like the different versions of heart, like heart as in caring and heart as in like hardy. If you're very hardy, you also can have the potential of getting hurt. If it's negative, which would be valorous, as I expected, it's 5. It's the value of your valor times 5. 193. 193 is honest or deceitful if it's greater than. So if you're deceitful, you get shade, night, or marsh, which is 3 times the value at which you're deceitful at. And then you can add spirit as your last part at a weight of 100 if game variables 57 is 100. What's 57? I'd imagine that's the Badger one. I remember how Badger Fang, if you got to heroic, it went to like a crazy, went to 1000. So that's why I'm guessing that. Come on. 57. Yeah, Badger Paw Heroic. So if you unlock Badger Paw's Heroic and the legends come to life, you also can get Spirit, at which it returns list. And then that's what you get. And I think it just picks a random one. So these are all of the weights and how it uses them. So technically mystery solved, but let's see if I can find where this returns to. The problem is, yeah, this is where it actually works. Yeah, it gets the list, deletes the, let's look at delete. Should only be deleting the first part of the name, but let's see. Deletes that. Okay. And then dot result, which results outputs data. I don't know why the main method of this is just stuck in the middle of this, especially with the dummy function at the beginning of all of it, but that's just how it is. But this is how it works right here. These are all probably if you do certain actions, and then these are all of the traits and all of the prefixes you can get by it. I think these two are, I think this could be deleted because this is just random stuff you don't even use. Like this was just when he was testing all of it. Spots. No, it doesn't share all of them. Yeah, so it calls this. So the first thing it does is calls this class. Okay, so this class is important. It generates a random list with all of the warrior's name. Result equals weighted array dot new, which I'm pretty sure is the initialized. No, that's just creating the object, yeah. Random list dot each x results dot add. So this is adding each. So it's just returning all of it at a weight of 1. Add, yeah, just yeah. It just returns each at a weight of 1, and then it returns result. And that's what the list is set to. So right now, list currently has all of these at a weight of 1. Lists is then set to event suffixes with the arguments of the array of all of these as 1, and it's listed as a array, as a weighted array object. So event suffixes, which is down here. So that's how all of this makes sense. So generic define generic suffixes. This is all of the warrior names you can get. All of them that you can get. And then it just sets the weight for 1 at each. And then it adds to that by running this. And it adds hearts is 5. So basically that gives heart an advantage from the start. And then it does each one of these and increases the chance of you getting them depending on what you did within the game. So basically it's adding weight to those. So it's adding weight to those. And then it deletes this because, yeah, it deletes this statement basically is saying, okay, we don't want the prefix and the suffix to be the same. So this just deletes any ones that which is the result of your name. So like if you had Hawk as a prefix, you can't be Hawk, sorry. Hawk is not acceptable. So it gets rid of that, and then it returns the results. And then this result is what is put out. And I'm not quite sure how it deciphers. No, this is probably where it does the weight actual. That's probably where it does the weight actual and sees like, okay, it judges the weight and says, okay, this is the one we want to do. And then it gives, and then this returns that prefix that it finally decides on, in which we return back here. Let's get this to work. In which we return back here. And that's what it returns for naming suffix. So it gathers traits, it sticks the highest traits so it can use it here for the honors, because might as well just do that while you have the script. And then it defaults your prefix to black if you don't currently have a prefix, which isn't so much debug, it's more so if you're starting in the middle of the game and you don't have a name. It just fixes that so it doesn't crash when it tries to recall a variable. More specifically, when it tries to input an integer into a string. Actually, that would work. Yeah, it just doesn't want it to be 0pa here, so it just defaults to black. After all, that's the default array, or what it's referred to as your character, and then it returns your name as your previous prefix, which you either had or you set there again, and the suffix. And there we go. We solved it. Is this where I can say, and that's how it works? And that's how it works. We solved how the naming system works. It was a little bit annoying because I was reading a coding language I didn't know how to read, quite honestly, but we figured it out. I'll probably redo this later and actually more concisely say how to do it and make it into an actual episode and post it as a more concise version, because right now I didn't really know what the heck I was doing and I was figuring it out on the fly. But if I was to go over it again, I could more easily explain it. Okay. Anyways, that was the big discovery for this one. I originally intended this to be all about like how complex RTI is and going over some of the theory that makes it happen. But like about now, I don't really feel like going through all of this. What's all this about after feather though? I want to see this. I brought you a crow's feather. This is so silly. So have I. I brought you one too. I'm sure Castropapa would give you one. I thought only I was being so thoughtful. Oh, I have one more. You've got a full set. So that's Badger Pie, I'd assume. I think all we wanted to say is to say this. Just how many checks does it do to give you this? Game variable is 55. This is whether Kestrel is dead. Else, so I'm just seeing how I failed to get this scene. Game variable 55, compact size. I don't really know what that means. Despot relationship good. Badger good. No, but good. Kestrel good. So there's like this good scene here. You've been a great friend to us, and we really want to show how much we appreciate this to you on this special day. Yeah, you got the great. Yeah, right now I'm just, part of me is just trying to finish this up so I stop having to deal with all these interruptions. Yeah, you're great, the best one. And then there's Badger Paw again. It wouldn't have been the same without you. So that's a little bit of an exclusive scene if you fit all this criteria. I'm just happy I didn't have to go through it. Just don't tell anyone. I love that line. And then there's the credits, which I still don't really know why it's there. Well, I guess it covers it. So, yay, we did it, and we did all of this stuff. So I think that I'm gonna wrap up the live stream here. I don't even know how long this has been. Let's see if I can get over 2 hours. That's the suit leg event, so that might have been an hour in, maybe an hour and a half. Either way, it's been a while, so I'm gonna wrap up the stream here. So hopefully I get that video out to more concisely say what I said about all of the stuff about naming. But you will hear if you hopefully know what it is. If you are here, I hope that I explained it well enough for you to understand it. It is complicated stuff, but that's coding. So I'll see you guys later, if I can. So, see you later. Bye.